started with the whistle of shells, sound you'd never forget, the sharp scream in the air, and the thunder that follows. We were a squad of 6 American soldiers, huddled in a reinforced bunker on the outskirts of a ruined French village in 1944. The Nazis had been pounding our position for days. We thought the bunker would hold. We were wrong. The ground shook. Dirt and concrete rained down from the ceiling. The blast hit so close it felt like the earth itself split open. The world went black in a cloud of dust and rock. When the air cleared, the entrance was gone, sealed by tons of collapsed rubble. We were entombed. At first, we believed we'd be dug out. Reinforcements would come. But hours turned to days. Our radio had been smashed in the blast. The water canisters cracked. Rations went fast. Day 1, we rationed what little we had. Day 2, the men began snapping at each other, every word edged with panic. By day 3, thirst was calling at our throats. Heller hadn't survived the collapse. We laid him in the corner under a blanket, but the stink of death spread anyway. We tried the rubble at the front. For hours, we dug at it, passing stones back in a chain. But every handful seemed to bring more dirt spilling in. Concrete had crumpled into a solid wall, reinforced with rebar bent like iron roots. Mallory finally called it. If we kept digging there, we'd just bury ourselves faster. The air grew heavy, stale. Flashlights flickered, every sound carried. Drip of water somewhere in the stone, slow rasp of our own breath. By day 4, Sergeant Mallory made the call. If we stayed, we'd die. If we kept hacking at the front, we'd only waste what little strength we had left. Walls, though, maybe thinner, maybe softer, maybe a chance. We had to dig. We worked with bayonets, helmets, even bare hands. Hours of scraping at the bunker wall, fingernails split and bloody. Some men cursed, others prayed. My hands shook so bad that I could barely hold the blade. Finally, on the 7th day, stone gave way. At first, we thought it was just another chamber of the bunker. A maintenance shaft, maybe an unfinished extension. But the air that rushed out told a different story. It was colder than the bunker air, damp and earthy, carrying a faint mineral tang like the breath of the cave. The gap widened under our hands, revealing rough-hewn rock, not the clean lines of poured concrete, but stone chipped away and eroded long ago. Marks of crude, uneven, as though whoever made them hadn't cared for precision. Mallory tested the air with his lighter, watching the flame bend slightly as the draft pulled it inward. Whatever lay beyond, it connected to something larger, something deeper. We exchanged a look, none of us wanting to say it out loud. This wasn't built for the war. It was older, forgotten. And it was our only way out. We thought we'd found salvation, a way forward. Instead, it was just a deeper kind of prison. We set up what little light we had, weak torches, sputtering flashlights, and pushed into the tunnel. The air clung to our skin, thick and wet. Every sound echoed. Our boots scuffed on stone, loud as gunfire. At first, there was hope. Thin trickle of water ran down one wall where the stone wept, pooling in a shallow depression. We cupped our hands and drank greedily, ignoring the taste of metal. It gave us strength, or at least the illusion of it, for a time. Felt like we might actually make it. But the deeper we pushed, the more the tunnel seemed wrong. The walls narrowed and then widened into chambers littered with fallen rock and damp soil. In places, the stone bore strange marks, scratches too jagged, too chaotic to be tool work. Mallory dismissed them, but I saw the way his eyes lingered. The nights were worse, Huddled in the dark, every drip and echo stretched into something else. O'Donnell swore he heard movement, a dragging sound that kept pace with my breathing, just beyond the light. Harper insisted it was rats, but when something heavy shifted in the blackness, even he fell silent. None of us slept well after that. On the second night in the tunnels, I woke to the sound of pebbles skittering across the floor, as if something had moved quickly past our camp. The flashlight beam showed nothing but dust swirling in the damp air. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. The others admitted hearing it too, though no one wanted to linger on the thought. By the third day, our nerves were fraying. Every step forward felt like trespass. Our lights played tricks on us, shadows twitching where nothing should move. The silence pressed in heavy, broken only by our ragged breaths and the distant, irregular sound of stone against stone, as if something was sharpening itself in the dark. The first time it struck, it was Collins. We'd sat down to rest, backs against the stone, when he screamed. A pale shade lunged out of the dark and snatched him off his feet. His flashlight clattered across the ground, beam spinning wildly as Collins' screams echoed into the black. Gunfire erupted, deafening in the tight space. A muzzle flash seared my eyes, but all I saw was white flesh vanishing into the dark. When the smoke cleared, Collins was gone. The silence after was worse than the attack. Every man sat frozen, breath held, waiting for the next strike. It didn't come that night. We adjusted. Mallory tightened us into a tunnel column. Harper on point, then me, then O'Donnell, with Mallory anchoring the rear. One light only, cupped by the second man. The rest kept theirs off to save batteries. No one more than 3 paces from the next. Mallory improvised a safety line using a coil of field telephone wire we'd salvaged from the bunker, looping it through our belts, so halt at the front traveled down the line as a tug at the hips. Every corner, Harper tapped twice on the wall, move, and Mallory sent the taps back. Harper wasn't far. Most of the time I could see the dark wedge of his shoulders at the edge of my beam, but the rock squeezed us into a sideways shuffle, ribbed scraping stone. The column bowed around a crooked bend, and for a breath, Harper was just out of sight, though I still felt his weight through the wire. 2 taps, move. We slid forward. The air smelled colder here, carrying a faint, sweet rot that made my gums ache. Something shifted above us, grit whispering down. Harper paused. 3 taps. Halt. The wire went taut, snapped, I thought. I took a step to ease it, hand on the wall. Another tug came, sharp enough to bite my belt. I tugged back. The line answered with a rip of friction, then slipped. We hauled as one, hand over hand, bringing the slack in. When it came free, I nearly fell with it. The wire dangled loose, the looped end slick and dark. Harper's belt tongue still threaded through, torn clean away. Something metallic clattered ahead somewhere beyond the bend and rolled back toward us. His spare flashlight charred loose from his gear, its dying beam strobing across the wall. It painted a smear the color of old pennies and a handprint sliding down the stone. 4 fingers, the 5th a ragged streak. We pushed through to the spot. His rifle lay 10 feet on, the barrel bent against the rock as if something had used it for leverage. No body, no sound but our breathing, and a far-off rasp of stone on stone, like teeth grinding. Mallory didn't let us stall.
Follow the draft. Where there's moving air, there's a way out.
He said it calm, but the whites of his eyes flashed in the light. None of us argued. Whatever had taken Harper hadn't done it in front of us. It had reached from somewhere else, slid in the wall, shaft above. The idea of something keeping pace beside us inside the rock-hollowed Neo. The tunnel sloped, temperature dropping with each yard. Boots sink into patches of damp silt, and others the floor hardened into rippled stone. as if water had once flowed here. The smell thickened into copper and mildew. Had the wire of our breath and made ghosts in the beam. We heard the cavern before we saw it, a hollow answering our footsteps, space so large the echo took its time returning. Then the smell hit like a wall, a stew of rot and sickly, greasy sweetness that curled the tongue. We gagged into our sleeves and kept moving, as backward felt worse. Our lights crawled up a ceiling that vaulted away and came back shimmering off pale shapes below. At first I thought they were whetstones, then the details sorted. Orbits and teeth. A spill of ribs collapsed into themselves. Long bones split down the line as if from marrow. Not neatly arranged, kicked, scattered, drifted into dunes. Floor gave a brittle crunch under my boot, and I wished I could take that step back. We weren't alone. Something moved just beyond the circle of light. A ripple through the bone drifts, a soft pattern of fragments shifting under weight. A pale limb flashed and vanished. O'Donnell swung the beam that caught a second shape hugging the wall, its skin the color of paper left too long in a desk.
Easy on me.
He raised his rifle, took a half step forward, placing his shoulder between us and the dark. A single shriek answered him, high and thin. From above came another and another, multiplying until the sound was a ceiling of knives. Shapes peeled from the rock. First one, spidering along the wall, then three. And then two made a count. Their limbs long, their faces smooth with blind, wide eyes. We fired. The cavern cracked with bullets, while the flashes stuttering our vision into still frames. A pale body made a leap, a mouth too wide, hands raking the air. Rounds sparked off stone and ricocheted wild. Something hit my shoulder and skittered away, leaving 5 stinging lines.
Back! Back!
Mallory roared as he walked his fire in steady bursts, buying inches. The creature dropped from the ceiling and wrapped itself around his back like a coat. Teeth working at his neck guard, he drove it into a column of stone hard enough to break it loose, then stamped its throat till it went still. 2 more took its place. We ran, and he didn't. He held the line 3 steps longer than flesh should, firing until the bulk locked on an empty chamber, then smashing with stock until the pale thing submerged him. The last I saw of him was his hand, still making the motion to reload, disappearing under a knot of limbs as they dragged him sideways towards a crack in the wall. His scream followed us down the passage and kept following, long after we couldn't hear anymore. It was just me and O'Donnell after that. We stumbled blind through the black, chased by shrieks and claws scraping on stone. Our flashlight sputtered, nearly dead. When the air grew fresher, we didn't think. We just clawed upward through a shaft of broken rock. Dirt rained on our faces, fingernails tearing bloody, till finally, we burst into daylight. The sky above was gray, clouds heavy, but to us, it was salvation. The light stabbed our eyes. We hadn't seen it so long it felt like knives in our skulls. We wept, we laughed. O'Donnell fell to his knees, clutching the dirt like treasure. Then we saw them, figures in the distance moving toward us. We staggered forward, waving, shouting hoarsely, "Hey, over here! Americans, we're friendly!" The shapes drew closer, unmistakably fellow soldiers. One of them raised his weapon and barked command, sharp and cold.
Find gesichtet.